Hello everyone, welcome back to Sims, and today I'll be showing you how to make a full body set for The Sims 4. So I have already done a CC tutorial before. I did part 1 and part 2, but I'm not actually sure if I showed you guys how to do high quality textures. So this just might be a 3-part series where I show you how to make the mesh in Marvelous Designer, how to edit everything in Blender, and then so you can actually use it in game, and then how to do how I do my textures. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is import the Sims 4 avatar into Marvelous Designer. So to get these avatars, you're actually going to have to go to the link in the description and download them. And then once you downloaded them, extracted the folder, whatever, you're going to have to come up here to File, Import, File, Add Avatar. And then wherever you saved the avatar, you just double click it and it'll show up in Marvelous Designer. So here is the Sims 4 female avatar. So since my last tutorial was a top, today I'm going to show you guys how to do full body, and it's not really that different from making a top. I just feel like it would, instead of being repetitive, I could just do a full body, just in case there are some things you guys are confused about that I didn't really mention in the first tutorial. Basically, the first step to making CC after you've imported the avatar is to actually make the mesh. So you can go on Pinterest and scroll and find some inspiration, or like if you have something in your head already, you don't really need to do that. And then once you actually have an image, you have to start making the mesh. The tool that you want to use to actually make the mesh is right here, and it's called the polygon tool. So you're going to click that, and you can use the polygon tool to create any type of shape that you want, basically. And any shape that you create in the 2D pattern window will show up in the 3D window. But this shape, I obviously can't use that, so I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. And if you want to redo it, you can press Ctrl Y. So here's what I'm going to be creating today: a full body jumpsuit. Go over to the 2D pattern window and start creating my pattern. I'm just gonna go down like this, I guess. I might just have to do the top piece first and then attach the bottom piece to it. But another thing that I like to do when I'm in a 2D pattern window is come over here to this little icon and change the surface to translucent, so I can kind of see the avatar's outline and the pattern at the same time. Go here. And then to unfold this, I'm going to right click this line and press unfold with symmetric editing, with sewing. Then I'm just going to click this and press Ctrl C to copy it, and then Ctrl V to paste it. And that is basically the back part of the mesh. Then I'm going to come over here and show the arrangement points. And then while I have the back piece selected, I'm going to click one of the dots on the back. And then I'm going to hide the arrangement points, and that just makes it easier to arrange the pattern on the avatar. And so now that the back is in the back and the front is in the front, I can now come up here and click on segment sewing. So basically, to sew in Marvelous Designer, you go to the segment sewing tool, and then you figure out which parts of the pattern you need to sew together. So for this particular pattern, you would just sew the sides together. So you're going to click up here and then click back here. Double click actually. And since both of the patterns have symmetric sewing, you wouldn't need to do the other side unless you didn't have symmetric sewing turned on the patterns. The pattern pieces, I guess, is a better way to call it. But if you do encounter a problem with the sewing and it ends up looking like this, that just means that you sewed it wrong and it's kind of like crisscross. So to fix that, all you have to do is come up here to edit sewing, and then right click the sewing and press reverse sewing, and now it's fixed and you don't have to worry about that. So now that we have them sewed together, let's just press the spacebar to sew everything together. And this is how it looks. Actually, I'm going to change the color of this fabric just so I can envision it better in my head. Okay, there we go. And that doesn't look bad, doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look bad. This just might be too much fabric in the back. No, it's not. That's actually a good amount of fabric. I don't know why I'm saying fabric, but you get what I mean. So now I'm just dragging it using my mouse. Just dragging it more up her body and getting some of the wrinkles out or whatever. And now this is the top half of our jumpsuit. There are some holes in it and some clipping, but we will fix that later, and I will explain how to fix that later, so do not worry. But now I want to do the bottom part. Now bottoms is a bit more complicated than the top. Move this up and then get my polygon tool out. Just follow what I do. We'll just go out here, come in here, da-da-da. Boom. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, so like I said, pants are a bit more complicated for me. I'll try to explain everything that I did. If you're ever confused as to what kind of pattern you should make in Marvelous Designer to make a specific type of clothing, you can always search up tutorials on YouTube, or you can just search up patterns on Google and just try to like get a general idea from those patterns. And for pants, this is kind of like the basic pattern that I see everyone do. Basically what I just showed you is kind of hard to explain, but I hope that that process was kind of easy for you guys to understand. But now I'm going to walk you through the rest of the process. So once you have this piece made, I'm just going to right click it and press symmetric pattern with sewing and put that piece right there. And then I'm going to select both of these and press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V to paste the back pieces, just like we did with the top. And then come up here, show arrangement points, and go to click on one of the back dots. I think we'll go for that one since it's the lowest one, and then hide the arrangement points. And then we're gonna click on the back pieces of the pants and scooch them down using this green arrow. And now it's time for sewing. So now let's go back to the segment sewing tool and sew everything together. Obviously this goes right there. You are not going to sew these two together. What you're going to do for these pieces, you're going to click the front piece and then go to the back piece, like the parallel back piece, which will be right here, and click it. So the two front and back pieces are sewn together, not side to side, but front to back. That's how we're sewing this. Same with this side. Click the front and then click the back like that. That is how we're doing that. And you're not going to sew the top together, but you are going to sew the top of the pants to the bottom of the top piece that we made. So that to that, and then to the back, that to that. And obviously we need to do that, and let's press the spacebar and see how it comes out. Okay, it's not too bad, but as you can see, there's a lot of clipping, So to fix that, I'm just going to click on the entire mesh and change the particle distance to 10. Now keep in mind whenever you're using particle distance that the lower the particle distance, the higher poly the mesh is going to be. The goal when you're making CC is to make it as low poly as possible. So the lower you make the particle distance, the higher poly the mesh will be. So do not go any lower than 10, and keep in mind that the higher poly the mesh is, the more it's going to slow down your computer. So please keep that in mind while you're making CC. And if you do not have a strong enough computer, do not change the particle distance any lower than 10, or really any lower than 15, and always check the poly count while making CC. So now that I changed the particle distance down to 10, I'm going to press the spacebar once again, and as you can see, all the holes are gone. Now the mesh is not completely finished, but it's looking somewhat decent at this point. So now whenever I'm making pants, I always try to consider how the pants will look while the sim is wearing shoes. And the model that I'm looking at right now for this specific piece of CC, she's wearing heels. So like I kind of want heels to show like if your sim wears this jumpsuit. But I could make it like skin tight. I could also make it like flare. Like I could like make this like wider. Actually no. Yeah, make this wider. And then put the curve point in like that. and do the same for the back piece. And add a flare. Does that look? That looks okay to me. But it also looks kind of weird. So I'm just gonna make the pants longer by clicking on the bottom pieces. If you ever want to select more than one thing in Marvelous Designer, you just have to click one thing and then hold shift and click another. And then we're just going to drag it down to like the top of her feet and press the space bar, and there you have it. So now we basically have everything except for the sleeves. So before I go any further, you must remember to save your project so you won't lose any progress, just in case your power goes out or your computer goes out. So make sure you go up here to File and press Save As and Save As Project, and then save it somewhere on your computer. And make sure you save it somewhere where you'll remember it later on, just in case you want to revisit it sometime in the future. So I'm going to go to the 2D pattern window and click on Polygon. Actually, no. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to press escape, then I'm going to go up here, and instead of pressing polygon, I'm going to press on the rectangle tool. And the rectangle tool basically creates rectangles. Instead of having to press each dot one by one, you can just create a rectangle quick and easy. So I'm just going to make a rectangle about this long. That's just me eyeballing it. I really don't do exact measurements. Maybe I should, but I don't really do that. I like to eyeball everything that I do in Marvelous Designer. But I'm going to make a rectangle about this long, and if I ever need to edit it, I can always do that in the future, so I don't really worry about that. And then I'm going to go over to the 3D window and show the arrangement points once again, and click on this one on her arm and then hide them. And now it's arranged on this avatar body the way that I want it to. Kind of want to make it a little bit longer. Or not longer, but wider. And since it's not going to be attached to this part, I don't need to worry about that, but I do need to sew it together. So let's go to the segment sewing tool and just sew it together like that. And then I'm just going to like move it closer to her body a little bit, and let's press the space bar. Oh wow, that was terrible. Let's press Ctrl Z and see what went wrong. Maybe I need to make it wider so it won't like fly away. Why did you fly away? There we go. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't wide enough. I'm going to change the particle distance on this as well to 10. Ctrl S so I remember to save it. And that is what we have. I honestly don't hate that. I think that's definitely the look I was going for, but I just might make it a little less wide. Yeah, there we go. That's definitely skin tight. But as you can see in the model photo, the sleeves kind of like go past her wrist. So I'm gonna make my sleeve do that as well. Just make it a bit longer on this end. And just drag it the way I need to. And boom. I like that. I really like that actually. And now since we need to do the other side, I'm just going to come to the 2D pattern window and then right click on my sleeve and press the magic pattern with sewing. And then pop that bad boy right there. And since we did a symmetric pattern, it's just going to automatically place on the avatar exactly where you need it to go. And all you have to do is press the spacebar. And there you have it.